Hello YouTube, my name is Hadi, I'm an enfj, and we're here with a forward mind. So in this video, I wanted to go over the introverted and extroverted landscape of the 16 personalities. And in the last few videos, I had mentioned the 4 archetypes: the mother, the father, the daughter, and the son, and I had correlated those 4 archetypes with the 16 personalities. I actually only mentioned 8 of the personalities, and the reason I had done that is because I only wanted to focus on the introverted personalities, because they were the sources of cognition, the sources of their respective functions, right? And in this video, I wanted to go over the entire landscape and change the virtual reality model that I had shown you guys before from a more opposed point of view, the way it was, where they're facing one another, to kind of a parallel point of view, where the parents, in this case, the mother and the father, as well as the daughter and the son, they were opposed to one another. I wanted to kind of flip them around and make it in a parallel way, so the extroverted functions and the external reality was also parallel. So I hope that will make things a little clearer when you have all the inner worlds lined up in a line, and then you have all the external worlds lined up in a line. And I will be going over the virtual reality in a little while, just to show you guys how that looks. Because, like I said earlier, I am a visual person, so I did feel the need to take what I was seeing, the patterns I was seeing in the world, and take what I was learning about 16 personalities and kind of map that in virtual reality. And just another point on that, on these topics, I would like to make a correlation between some of the concepts that are kind of well known in society or in the collective consciousness. Ideas that, for example, people like Jordan Peterson are pushing, like the hero's journey. Other ideas would be just consciousness in general, and going into the unknown from a psychological point of view. The idea of known and unknown, the idea of order and chaos. These kinds of ideas are really important, and I think they map on, in my opinion at least, directly with the 16 personalities, and I'm going to be attempting to kind of display that or show how that's the case from my observations. So I will be, that's just the final point before I move on to the virtual reality. But I think it's really important to correlate, because in my opinion, there's a major gap. Like, you have this Myers-Briggs personality type indicator, and it's well known among, most of the people that are interested in psychology and personality typing and knowing which personality is what. And then you have this general, more broad understanding of psychology and philosophy and all of these ideas that stem back from Carljung, but they're not necessarily connected. Like Jordan Peterson, at least from what I have observed from him, he hasn't necessarily correlated them. So it seems like, in my point of view, he's talking about these topics in a general form, but he hasn't specified them enough. So I'll be attempting to correlate those 2 ideas and hopefully come full circle in explaining that. So on that note, let's move over to the VR and take a look at that. Alright guys, we're here in the virtual reality. So the first thing I wanted to point out were the changes I made since the last time I showed you the model. So one thing I've done is I've added this platform, and that's to separate the abstract reality from the concrete reality, help see things a little clearer. Next thing I've done was I've moved the perception functions that were originally in the front. I've moved them to they're originally in the back, moved them to the front. And the judgment functions were originally in the front. I've moved them to the back. Okay, same thing down here. And the reason I'd done that was to show how the perception functions are dealing with more of a objective reality, because they're waiting for decisions to be made before they move forward with their identity or their decision. Whereas the judgment functions are dealing with direct perception right away. Okay. Next thing I've done was I've aligned all the inner and outer worlds so they're all connected. all in one line rather than having them separated. Or rather than having them opposed like I've had them before. Okay, next thing I've done, or next thing I would like to do actually, is show you guys how these systems work basically. So first thing is what you're looking at over here. We have the letter over here, and then we have the attitude of that function. So in this case it's feeling, and then it's introversion. And as you can see, these are all introverted functions. And we have introverted thinking over here. Okay, then we have introverted intuition over here. And then we have introverted sensing. So sensing, the past-based. So past-based, future-based, past-based, future-based. Okay, and then we have the personality. So with every function, there's a correlation with a personality. So with the introverted feeling, we have the mother. Okay, it's the infp personality. With down here, we have introverted sensing with the istj personality. And then we have the enfp on the extroverted side, extroverted intuition. And then we have the estj with the concrete side. Okay, so this is extroverted thinking. Then with the sun, so the opposite, we have the introverted thinking down here, but it's dealing with direct reality, so the istp. And then we have the infj dealing with the introverted intuition. Okay, then we have the enfj dealing with external feelings, so extroverted feeling. And then we have the estp dealing with extroverted reality or extroverted sensing. And then we move on to the father. We have the intp dealing with introverted thinking. And then the introverted sensing of the isfj. And then also in the abstract reality, so we have the esfj dealing with extroverted feeling. And then we have extroverted intuition with the entp. And then with the daughter, we have isfp with the introverted feeling. And then introverted intuition with the intj. And then extroverted thinking with the entj. And then extroverted sensing with the esfp. Alright, next thing I wanted to show you guys were how these systems work, or how they kind of come together. So first thing is, let's switch to the green color. So the infp, so the mother, she's basically believing in a possible reality. So this is the big what if, right? So the what if over here. Okay, so what if this happens? What if that happens? Okay, and she's feeding off of the data, or the truths that the sun gives her down here. Okay, so the sun tells her, here's what's going on in the physical reality, and then she acts according to a possible reality. So she makes a decision, I would like this possible reality, right? So there's a constant communication from the sun. And then from the sun's point of view, turn over to yellow or orange over here, okay? He's observing the physical reality, okay, coming to logical conclusions. So what's true or false? Okay, and then he's sharing that with the mother. So I want her to know, okay, or I want her to believe, okay? So one thing you can see here is there's a constant communication going back and forth. The mother gets communication from the son, okay, and the son wants the mother to believe in him, and the mother has faith in the son. So the benefit of this is, because there's a back and forth communication, it basically eliminates all the guesswork. So the son is the master of the physical reality, and he shares that with the mother. The mother is the master of the abstract reality, and she shares that with the son. And because of that constant communication, it eliminates all the uncertainty. And the negative implication is, within the subject, within the subject themselves, they require one another. So they almost can't function without one another's assistance. And that causes a lot of inconsistency with how they act and how they talk and how they behave, because they're expecting a reciprocity, so a constant reciprocity. And that's one of the things that Jordan Peterson talks about in his content with creative people or conscientious people with Big Five. He mentions that there's a constant reciprocity, and that's what this is attributable to the son and the mother archetypes. Now with the father, okay, one more note actually. So with the mother and the son, so the son's dealing with any mechanics with the physical reality. The mother's dealing with any logistics or administration that's going on. So if you want some job or career insight, the mother's dealing with any mystical or even religious systems. And then with the other side of the son, you're dealing with any revolutions or social change, introducing social change right here. Okay. Next thing is we move on to the daughter, or let's start with the father. So father over here, okay, he's also believing in the what if, or in this, not believing, analyzing the what if, okay, and then he's suggesting to the daughter how to act, okay. So first thing you can tell is this is a closed system. So unlike the open system or the constant intermingling or affinity for one another the mother and the son have, the affinity, with the father it's like a closed system, and the same thing you could see here with the daughter, right? So she's analyzing the physical environment, believing in the physical environment or the possible physical environment and wanting something to be true, right? So they do have, there's obviously a connection between them, but because they're closed systems within the subject, it causes a lot of communication problems. Now the trade-off is there's consistency within the subject themselves. So with a daughter, I believe in this reality, I believe it, right? But then the father may be running into walls and not understanding the beliefs or not understanding why she's acting that way. And then with the father, I know, or I've analyzed this is true based on my past, okay? But then he has a difficult time communicating that, right? Because it's a closed system. So there isn't that opening up and closing, that the reciprocation with the mother and the son. Okay, another thing to note with the father, so any scientific endeavor or cultural appropriation or cultural traditions, right? And then with the daughter, any art, so any expression of art or any desire for truth, right? So a desire for truth or a desire for an audience even, okay? Another thing to note, so I've kind of set this up in a way where the daughter kind of goes up into the, let me just clear all this up 1 second. So I've kind of set this up, you could tell although this is the concrete reality, the daughter is actually moving up into the abstract. So into the father's world with her desires and her wants, or with her feelings and her wants, okay? And then the father is moving down, okay, he's moving down into the concrete. So although he's seeing the abstract and seeing the abstract decisions or the abstract feelings, he actually resides within the concrete. So there's kind of a crisscross going on, right? And that's as a result, this is the only way they're able to communicate with one another. But it works in an interesting way. It's a little bit different than the mother and the son, but it does still work out, right? And the other thing is, it still has that consistency within the subjects, right? But then, like I said earlier, there's a miscommunication, a possibility for miscommunication, because there isn't that constant energy or information coming from them. Sorry guys, I got cut off over there. Okay, so last thing I wanted to note was with the mother and the son. So this is one thing that's incredibly important to understand. There's a theory in quantum physics called quantum entanglement, and I wanted to point out how with the mother and the son, they are entangled. So this may actually explain quantum entanglement from a psychological point of view. The son, so with the daughter, there's a fully outer world,
everything is objective. With the Father, there's a fully metaphysical world. Everything is based on subjects, right? Now with the Son and the Mother, their inner and outer worlds are actually intermingled. So I think this possibly, so the inner and outer worlds are actually mingled. So I think this may explain quantum entanglement. Now I'm not entirely sure. I don't have all the data for it, but it may be something. There may be something there from a psychological point of view.
So as you guys can see, when you have the inner worlds parallel with one another and you have the outer worlds parallel with one another, you can see the introversion and extroversion landscapes a little clearer, because when there's the opposed point of view, it's a little cluttered and crowded to see. So I hope that this virtual reality video has made things a little clearer. I will be doing, like I mentioned earlier, an individual video for all 4 archetypes, and hopefully going more in depth on the personalities, the 4 personalities, the 4 extroverted and 4 introverted personalities that are correlated with the 4 archetypes. So if you guys like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I think these ideas are incredibly important for society to digest, and I think they are inevitable. I mean, we did just come out of a mental health crisis, or possibly still in a mental health crisis. So I think these ideas are incredibly valuable and important for society to digest. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. This has been Hadi with the Forward Mind, and remember, 2 steps forward, no steps back.